What's up? What's up? Dennis over there jamming on one. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. We're seem like the weather's starting to break and starting to get a little bit warmer, but it's kind of a little different than Phoenix. We have what we call it schizophrenic weather, so it's gonna be beautiful for the whole week. And then I said it's gonna drop back down to the 50s next week. So I'm gonna enjoy this week.
All right, cool. Um, Hold on one second. Let me reset something for Instagram. Mm-mm. Nope. I'll leave it alone. All right. So, folks, tonight you got. Let me rename my session here because you hear an echo.
No, I don't hear echo.
Okay, I think I need to mute so I don't hear an echo. All right, so usually we got Dennis and Angela over on the East Coast, and you usually have Daniel and Kendra over here on the West Coast. Yeah, West Coast. That's right. But tonight you're gonna be sticking with the fellas because the ladies are busy. But hey, it's been a while since just you and I had a chance to just hang out, Dennis.
Yeah, they got the fellas. We're gonna be coming from a male point of view, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good either way.
Yeah. Actually, I got an invite from one of our small groups at the church. It's about, I don't know, they about 30, 40 strong. So I don't know if it's a small group, but it's a group of
Uh-huh.
brothers, and we're gonna be talking to them about some marriage things. So looking forward to that. Kendra and I are gonna do that in April.
Okay.
So that was a good opportunity. It came to me through Jeff. You remember Jeff Shepard?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember Jeff Shepard distinctly. We used to do small groups together at a Starbucks. We had a really good time with the guys that we had. So
Yeah, he's kept that going. He's kept that going, which I think is very much needed, right, for uh, young brothers coming up in the Lord to have a role model like Jeff and hear the biblical perspective from folks who have been in the trenches, and versus just getting some of this toxic internet masculinity that we see out here that is nonsense. So
yeah,
I'm happy he's forging ahead with that.
yeah. He's been doing it for a minute while, a long while too. So it's not something that he's a rookie. He's been doing this for a good while too. So
Yes. All right. So I guess we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. Let me get my intro up, and so folks know who we are, what we're doing. If this is your first time joining us, appreciate you. Appreciate you joining us. And hold on, let me get into my document over here. Tonight we're going to be continuing our discussion around. We got an overall theme, call it press, and tonight we're going to hit the R. The last week we talked about prayer, and you
mhm.
can never get enough of prayer.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that conversation because we often sometimes forget. Um, Let me say this: not the importance of prayer, because we know the importance of prayer, we really do, but how powerful prayer could be. And I think that's one of the things that we oftentimes sometimes forget because we are so caught up of how I need to do certain things, what I need to do to make this work. What are some of the extras? But if you know about God's grace and communicating with Him, prayer is such a powerful, powerful thing.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. So just give me 1 second. I'll be right with you. I cannot find this document. So we're going to go off the cuff here. So welcome to Marriage Monday with Daniel and Dennis. Usually Daniel, Kendra, Dennis, and Angie. But tonight it's just the fellas. And, this is just a space for us to discuss what's going on with marriage and understand what it takes to stay in there, make it a longevity, make it long time in marriage. Make sure that we're coming against those things that are really pushing marriages to that. You have that statistic of 50% of marriages succeed and 50% of them fail, but we're believing that you can make it past that. We can do better, right? All right, all right. So our topic tonight is rest. And in marriage, you can get into the busyness of marriage and forget to really be paying attention to each other and forget to rest. So we got a couple of items that we want to touch on tonight, where we're talking about resting in marriage and what that looks like.
Mhm.
I'll kick it off with just even myself, and we've been married for Kid and I've been married for about almost 29 years. I'm going to be 29 in May. And you can really get caught up in the cycles, right? You got work, you got kids that you're raising, you got to make sure there's a roof over your head, make sure there's clothes on their back, all these things. And so you can kind of get to the point where you're like two ships passing in the night versus really making sure you have the energy to not only do all those things, which is the busyness of marriage, but also to take care of each other and to be intimate with each other and to keep it spicy and all of that good stuff. So and to do that, rest must come into the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a big thing. And I think I'll be honest on this side, on the East Coast. That's been something that we struggle with. I think we have really focused to, do certain things. And, and then it's the demands on the particular uh, jobs that we have. My wife, she's a leader at her job, a manager, and so she got a staff, and so there's a lot of changes that's going on right now, and so with her, and that's one of the reasons why she's not here tonight is that just a lot of changes going on. She had to work very late, and that has a wear on the body mentally. It has a wear on you, and even for myself, I don't think I'll have the same type of thing, but I deal with 80 students, middle school students. That in itself sometimes can be exhausting, constantly the pull on there. And then, of course, we do counseling. And so when we talk about rest, it's the word rest is just a comforting word to hear because there's so much movement, so much things that are going on, so much pulling on you. And so when you talk about just connecting with each other, sometimes it could be like, I just want to just lay on this couch and just close my eyes for a few minutes. And so that's been a struggle for us. I think we was talking one week. I said we hadn't even taken a vacation. Now we go out to come out to Phoenix every single year for our Living Well events, but as far as just me and her taking a vacation and unplugging and just having fun, we hadn't done that in a while. And so this is going to be a good subject, and it's going to really minister to me also.
Mm. Yeah. So I think two things. One, uh, we have to reframe what we think about what rest is, and understanding that it's not laziness, right? When our bodies are made to rest in order for us to go back and do what we need to do to fulfill our purpose or to drive things and to do all the things. And then two, rest is trust, right? Because I think if we begin to count too much on ourselves, then we start to look at rest as wasted time.
Mm-hmm.
But reframing that to understand that God is the one that brings everything to us, that puts everything in motion and in place. And so when he has specific instructions in the Word of God that says rest, right? Rest in me. And so doing that, then we have to put our trust in him to know that when we are not actively doing something, that things are still happening in the background,
Yeah.
you know, and that's our trust in him. So can you think about what are your, I guess, rhythms of rest? What are some of the things that you guys do when it comes to, hey, we've been really busy. I'm missing. I remember you saying this once. You're like, I miss you, or I miss us.
Yeah.
And so, what are your rhythms of rest for you and
Well,
Angie?
well, the most common thing is that we love to go out to eat, and and so date night is something that's pretty often for us. Now, I'm not saying it's every single week, but it's pretty often, and so that's one of the things we just like to do is just get out the house, do something different. Um, I'm planning on trying to do something down the line for me and her for me because my wife sometimes she does a lot of the planning, the restaurants, and you know how us fellas are. We want to make sure that they want to go to a particular restaurant because if you choose our restaurant, it's like I don't want to go there. So we make sure that they're very much included in where they're going. And plus,
Yes.
plus she picks very good places anyway. So, but then there's some things that I want to do, and so I want to kind of incorporate our next date night with that. But yeah, I think that's probably been the most common thing. We just getting back to our weekly meetings, and so really kind of like you said, rest doesn't always look like you got your eyes closed and you know you're um you're sleeping or something like that. Rest could be we're catching back up on stuff we need to talk about related to the household that we haven't gotten to, going back over some of the our goals, going back over some of the things that we want to do as far as our disciplines and stuff like that, because the word for us is focus. And so we got a chance to sit back Sunday and really kind of put a plan together regarding our finances because we have particular things that we want to do. And man, this this Sunday was just awesome. She had thought about something and put some stuff together, and it was just refreshing, and it was really restful because we're taking care of the business of the household, during that particular time. And so after we got done, I felt like there was just a weight lifted, because some of the things that we had discussed, and trying to get out, and everything like that, and planning. So as far as vacations and everything like that, we'll get to that, but that's kind of our rhythm.
Cool. Yeah. I think for us, in terms of our resting, I'm really kind of thinking because in the last year or two, we haven't done as much of it as I would like, or that I think we should or need to. But in general, we like to get away. We have a little place up in Sedona that we go to. We've been doing that for 20 years. Every other year, we have about a whole week that we can go and take off and do that. And we did that so much that the kids were just like, I'm not going to Sedona ever again. And that's and I look at them, I was like, that's a first world problem.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Because she, especially my daughter, she was like, I'm done with Sedona. But even after all those years, man, Sedona is one of the most beautiful places on the earth. And
Mhm.
every time I go up there and we driving into the center of Sedona, you see the red rocks, and it is just gorgeous. Never gets old, at least not to me. To some teenagers that are now 20 somethings, yeah, maybe. And I think after they get past those 20 somethings and get into those 30 somethings, they'll reappreciate what they had there.
Yeah.
You know,
One of the things that that came to mind when you was talking about rhythm, I think scheduling your rest. I heard this a long time ago that when you at the top of the year, you should schedule all your vacation time, or you should start planning your vacation at the top of the year. You don't wait until things get busy and then you're like, oh, I need to just rest. But it should be something that's planned at the top of the year. Where we're going, what we're going to be doing this year. And so when you said rhythm, I was also thinking about putting it putting a priority, putting into the
yes,
planning of doing certain things. This is a planned thing, and so when you have Sedona every single on that particular time frame of the calendar that you have, it's something that you guys actually have planned for, and it's expected to happen. And so rest is a priority for that particular time. And so I think also the rhythm of it is making sure that it's something that's constantly being planned, something that's constantly being a priority for your marriage, for you and your spouse.
yeah. And one thing I think that we don't think about is rest, and um, rhythm of resting is what's bringing this to my mind. So, because something we do every single week is we go to church,
Hmm.
and that community element of our lives it takes us away from the work, like the day to day, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. So I think it's important, especially for husbands, right? As we are leading our family, you got kids coming up, they're watching you. So are you leaning into what God is asking us to do? He's like, have a Sabbath, have a day where you're not working. He did it, right? 6 days on, 1 day off, and then he passed it on to us to say, hey, do this. And in doing that, again, going that leads into that trust, especially as men, that hey, me working 7 days uh, is not going to get me any further than working 6 days. And
Hmm.
logically, it doesn't make sense because you got a whole other day that you're putting in there. But the body, I think, God is so uh, 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 above our ability to rationalize what's going on, that he knows that hey, if you continue to work constantly, you're going to wear yourself out. You're going to get outrun by the tortoise, right? And so that analogy of the tortoise and the hare, where the hare loses because the tortoise is just steady and slow, and so God allows us to rest because you gotta feed yourself, you gotta rest yourself. It's just like going to the gym. I can't go to the gym 7 days a week lifting heavy weights with no rest because you really only grow in the times where you're resting.
Hmm. Hmm.
So your muscles, if you're constantly pushing every single day and you never give yourself one, you're not gonna be able to do it. You're gonna break down, and then two, your muscles won't grow. It's opposite effect, right?
Yeah.
So
What's awesome about the God, being a teacher of science, He's created us to have rest. He's created the body's functions and systems. He's created rest in there, uh,
yes,
and that's why we got a day, and that's why we got a night. And night is supposed to be that time specifically. I know we got some people that work a second and third shift, but it's really been designed for us to get that rest because He knows our body needs rest because it's the balance. It's the balance that your body needs, and for oxygen to come in, and we're breathing oxygen, we're exhaling carbon dioxide, all those type of things. It's the balance of life, and so rest brings balance. And so as we're talking about rest, you're thinking about, if we don't have rest, then we're kind of out of balance. on what the things that we need to do in our life. God has
Yes,
created us to get rest.
he has. He has. Absolutely. I was thinking about this quote from a guy named James Clear. He wrote Atomic Habits. And he says that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So,
Hmm.
like you said, God has baked rest into the system. So if you're
Hmm.
not paying attention to that piece, taking care of that piece, then your system breaks down. Right.
Yeah.
And so you can never reach those goals that you're trying to reach because you're not allowing that part of the system to work itself out.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good. All right. Next here, what we're talking about. Uh, so in our digital age, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in our digital age. I know you like to really harp on this one because you're in school and you see the happenings with the young ones. Um, do you guys have screen free time like throughout the day or throughout the week? And is that a part of, because we rest every single night, right? We should be getting some rest every single night, and so we can talk about that a little bit. How much should we be getting? Are we getting enough? And if not, what are the things that we can do to increase that or improve that?
Well, the only area that I can say is during date nights. I'm a very particular person when it comes to cell phone usage. Now, my wife, she's okay with being on her phone occasionally, but she knows that I typically, when we're talking, and if I see her on her phone, I kind of typically shut off, and then she knows, okay, listen, I'm listening to you. I got your full attention. Um, so I think those areas when we're out hanging, I don't want to be on the phone. Now, I'm not I'm a phone guy, so I'm not on my phone all the time unless we might get something, a notification, towards anything. When I come home, I usually put my phone up because now the day is over. I'm kind of trying to unplug. So sometimes for me, I miss phone calls, I miss certain things because I'm putting that away. It's time for it to go off. Now I do get on my iPad a lot, and I'm watching a lot of YouTube or different types of stuff. So, but after a while, that's just for a period of time, and then I'm going to sleep. But typically, for both of us, I think we have our own uh, timing when we're just kind of unplugging from the devices. But when we're going out on date nights, that's a big one for me. Is we're not on cell phones. We're not just sitting there. I mean, if we're looking up something or something like that, or we're in the car for navigation and all that type of stuff. But when
Yeah.
we're at the restaurant or anything like that, we're not sitting there just talking and looking at or we're not sitting there just looking at our phones. That's a big no for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In terms of when for us screen time, we talk about this, and we're we make our mistakes, and sometimes we violate, but for the most part we're aware that at least the research talks about the need to wind down, have a wind down period before you go to bed. So if you're and also to go to bed at the same time every single night. So
Hmm.
if your
Hmm.
bedtime is 10, an hour before that, let's start winding it down. Let's put the screens away because the screens actually keep you up. Right?
Hmm.
Any blue light, screen from the phone, from the laptop, from the computer, from the TV, all of these things will keep you up at night. Um, and they send a signal to the body that it's not bedtime. Whereas if you
Yeah.
put it away and go old school, maybe read with a. I think it's easier if you're like have a Kindle that's black and white, things like that. I think even on the iPhones they have nighttime now, or add some. They have these glasses, blue light blocker glasses that you can wear at night, so that your
Hmm.
body doesn't get the blue light, and then you start to wind down.
Hmm.
So we have these rituals every single night if we allow our bodies to do it. And I'm always whenever I see my kids up too late or on the phone or whatever, it's like, hey, put that down. It's time to go to bed.
Yeah.
And so that is, I think, is important again, especially as as we are the fathers and husbands in terms of leading. Because sometimes, if you look at your kids, they're reflecting back to you what you're doing. So if they're on their phone, I kind of look at myself. Okay, am I modeling that behavior? Because I want us to be as healthy as we can. And part of being healthy, a part of that system of being healthy, is getting that putting in that screen-free time before you go to bed.
Yeah, I think generationally, it's something that we wasn't raised with, and so for me, I do prefer, like I said, the cell phone usage is not a big thing to me. So I might be on it occasionally, but I'll know there's a shut off time, and and I believe that's if you got work to do, that's going to take up a lot of your time. But I'm not just on my phone. I might have a designated time of the day that I'm looking at certain things, maybe Instagram posts or even reels or something like that. But after a certain period of time, I'm probably at maybe 30 minutes every single day. I have a particular time for myself that I'm looking at certain things, and then I might look at stuff before I go to bed. But I'm very consistent in my rest, and I think for me, my body shuts down. So I don't have no problem with if the lights are on, if the phone is on, I'm probably still gonna fall asleep. It's not gonna distract me from falling asleep. But occasionally I do wear a mask and everything like that to block any type of light, because me and my wife go to bed at different times. And so I'm usually the early bird because I get up about 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm in the bed. I'm getting in bed about 9:30, as far as what you call it, the shutdown period of
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
And then probably about 10:30, I'm snoozing. Sandman hit me. Z's.
You know what I do to put my wife to sleep?
Hmm.
Put on a movie. That's all it takes. I put on
now,
if we sit down, put on a movie, she is out.
now,
It's like,
now, I used to laugh at Kendra falling asleep at the movies, but I find myself doing a lot of times. My, my wife, I would try to cut on a movie, or we watch a show together, and I'll be knocked out. And she said, "Yeah, you went to watch the episode again. You fell asleep."
right. Yeah, yeah. And then she'll wake up and be like hitting the rewind. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? She's like, I fell asleep. I was like, well, you just have to watch it later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another piece that, in terms of rest, what do you have to say no to that could be starving, your marriage of the oxygen that it needs? What are some things that you've had to say no to?
Okay, give me some context to it, because
So
that's
for
lame.
instance, we lead these really busy lives where we not only working 9 to 5, but then we got the ministry on the side where we are, doing what we feel God has called us to do in terms of that. And so I'll give you an example for us. One of the things in this season that we've had to say no to is premarital counseling. And because we are part of the premarital counseling team, or we were for a while. And then we had the season where we had kid graduating from college, kid going into senior year in high school, Kendra going back to work, all these things happening simultaneously. And so we had to say, okay, what are we going to cut so that we can continue to, function well without being overly burdened with things to do all the time. And so in this season, one of the things that we had to cut out was, premarital counseling for us in order for our marriage to have some oxygen, us to have some breathing room. Right.
Yeah. I think for us it's been something similar, and I wouldn't suggest it for everybody, for us, but because of what we do, there's some things that we had to cut out as far as what we was doing at the church. There was a time where I was doing a lot when it come to trainings and stuff like that for leaders and stuff like that. And I had to sit myself down from some of those things because just to sit with my wife and then being able to say, hey, after church we're going to the grocery store together. We, some of those little small little things that people take for granted. There's conversations, there's reconnection, there's joking, uh going out to breakfast or going out to lunch after, afterwards, after church. Sometimes when you're serving, you're still talking with a lot of people and everything like that, and then that's taking up your time. Not to say all the time. I think church is not something where you're serving all the time. I think they have a way to condition it. But I felt like with that, because there was planning time, you had to get there a little bit early, set up,
Yep.
shutting down and all that type of stuff. So there was some things that once I build up the team to do a lot of things, I felt like, let me build up another leader. Let's find another leader to take over this particular area so that I can free up some time on my Sundays, because I try to keep that a time where if we're just sitting together, or we can, well, at least we have that time. And even with a lot of stuff that's going on, we've been going back and forth with some traveling, bringing family back into Florida, and then even going. My youngest daughter, she just left today for California, so she's moving to California. So there's some times where you just want to spend time with family, and so I have that time freed up. And that's something that some people might be saying, "Oh, I don't, I disagree with that." That's fine. We can agree or disagree. But I think for me, that was something that I wanted to do so I can have that extra time for my wife.
So you say some people would disagree with what?
Well, I mean, the taking the time away from serving at church. I think something serving at church is big for a lot of people, and I had to free myself from some of the things, the activities that I was doing. So
Okay.
that's one of the
Gotcha.
things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
So church is a ministry, but your first ministry is your wife.
yeah,
So I would agree with that. Where if you are constantly busy, you working your job and they require the 40 hours out of you there. And many people put in more than 40 hours because they're trying to, progress and get ahead. And then on the weekend, if you are constantly doing something on the weekend, um, and whether that's ministry or something else, you're not putting in any of the time, right, to the marriage. And where I look at this as rest, right, where you said, hey, where you and your wife are just sitting together, that's awesome. Where,
mhm.
hey, we're not doing anything else. We're not taking on any other responsibility. I just want to look into your eyes. Maybe I want to just touch. I want touch and feel you and do those things for like you and Andy talk for hours.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But
if
I
you
think. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me cut
if
you
you're
off.
not doing that right, then you are, um, I think, missing out on opportunities to make sure that your marriage is strong.
Yeah.
Because the whatever you're putting your time into, and rest is time. And so
Yeah.
if you don't put your time into resting together, then um, I think you miss the opportunity to know each other deeper.
Yeah, and you said time. That's one thing we won't get more of. And I think, we spent a lot of years in doing certain things with the church, working full time, or even before then. And I think for us now we're in our 50s, our kids are older, and I think for us, it's that we want to enjoy that time with each other. We didn't have that right off the cuff. When When we got married, you know, uh, already had our first daughter, Aaron, and then we had Chris. He came along pretty quick, and so we never had that time, you know, just me and her. And so now we're kind of getting that time with each other, and so we can just, hey, when we want to just go ahead and leave, we can leave, you know, or make those type of plans. And so, but for me, I know that I can get committed to certain things. And what I wanted to do is to say, I just gotta need to pull back because I just wanted that time to be able to just sit with my wife. Plus, I'm a teacher, and so I have planning. I have to do my lesson plans, and sometimes I do them on the weekends. And so I feel like I'm bringing my work home, and so sometimes I might do them on a Saturday morning. Don't take me all day, but it, you know, it takes a little bit of time. So sometimes, you know, hey, I'm gonna pull back from a lot of the serving because I'm already kind of adding this additional time from work to do my planning, my planning lessons for the week that I have to turn in. Um, so I just wanted to pull back and be able to say, at least I'm spending some time with my family, you know, and that includes even spending time with my kids, you know, so even though they're older, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Kalisha um, dropped a comment here. That's wisdom. Somebody she's talking about, when we're saying, hey, we have to rest, even if even if it means pulling out of some of the ministry stuff.
Mhm.
She says, do you think, or asks, do you think that sometimes the things we refuse to let go of might be robbing us of intimacy and growth in our marriage?
Ooh, come on, Kalisha. That is such a good question. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's certain things that you do have to let go. You have to be committed to what's important. Um, I think there's certain things that we feel like we have to hold on to, that we have to let go. There's certain things that I used to want, I don't want anymore because it's not important. It's not fulfilling purpose. And so I think that's a great question, you know, and refusing to let go, yes, it can rob you of the intimacy and growth that both you and your spouse need. And I think that's a conversation that both spouses need. Now, I'm not saying that this is you, Kalisha, but this is a good question for many of us. And I think you need to sit down and say, hey, what is that thing that we have to let go? What is it? You know, for us, I think, and let's just talk about finances. One of the things I know my wife, she just she wants to have a when we're building up the savings and everything like that, having a lot of debt, you know, that she don't feel right with that. You know, you know, and so there's certain things that you're just gonna have to let go. We can't do this anymore. We can't do that anymore because we gotta stay focused on doing this for a particular season. So we might have to let go. But when we're talking about rest in your marriage, we might have to let go of serving for a season. I'm not saying it's going to be completely over, but for a season, we might have to let go so that we can connect. Or you may be in that season where you have a lot of kids and it's taking a lot of your time, and you guys got to get together. And I'm not talking about sexually or anything like, well, yeah, if it's sexually, then yes, sexually. But if,
Amen.
hey, I just need to just walk with you, walk around in the subdivision, or you know, let's go and work out together. Let's go and get some couple massages. You know, I know
Yes.
ladies might like that and get some massages together. Take
Shoot,
some
you speaking my
just
language.
or you know, or just saying, hey, I'm going to leave work early so that we can do some lunch together and plan out a lunch. Fellas, plan out a lunch, you know, with your wife, or early dinner at a particular place, spontaneous. You know, I know we talk about rhythms and we're talking about planned, you know, certain things, but sometimes surprises help a lot. You know, just surprising your wife. You know, we're doing certain things, and uh, so there's many different things that we can go through in that particular things, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
I think that's a great way to start decompressing, you know, and that's a great question. A lot
yeah.
of
And
us
I
need
would
to.
say, I would just say, from decade to decade, right? As you move forward in your marriage, you have to not only let go of some things that you're doing, but there's some mindsets you have to let go of because you're in a different season of life, and what you used to do, how you used to think, doesn't serve you anymore.
That's
You know,
good.
for instance, the Word of God says that the single, but for those who are single, hey, serve the Lord, right? So yeah, you can be there as long as you want, 24/7. Go for it, knock it out.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
even in your single life, you need some rest, but you can do a lot more because you don't have that other person waiting on you or needing you or, you know, uh, uh, counting on you. But once you get married, then you got to care for the things of the marriage, right? You got to
Yeah.
take care of your wife. You got to take care of your husband. You got to take care of their needs emotionally, sexually, and physically, all of those things, right? Um, so that single season to that marriage season looks very different where that's concerned in terms of how you rest or what you let go and all of those things. And then when kids come into the picture, then again, and maybe you and your husband were doing a whole lot at the church until those kids come along. Now it's another shift, right? Rest looks different again, right? Because where you could just pick your times and dates and places to go, now you got to think about kids, right? So
Yeah.
it's going to change from season to season, from year to year, from decade to decade.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and there is, if you are not willing to change, not willing to let go, you over 10 departments and now you get married and you're not willing to let any of them go, there can start to be some resentment to set in,
Mm.
because hey, we have no time. You never touch me. You never look into my eyes. You got no time. So
Yeah.
can't do those things. Or you're doing them, it's something to a quickie, but quickies get old, right? Because they don't lean themselves, or they don't, um, um, cater to deep connection.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
so yes, indeed.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta let go of the football, fellas. You might have to let go of that game. I won't be honest. Last night, I was watching the Super Bowl, and my wife was like, "This is boring," and
she wasn't lying.
I said I had to let it go. I had to let it go. I couldn't just keep going on and make my wife force her to watch a boring football game. But she letting go of some of the activities that you are involved in. That might be something that will be something that will help you grow. I wanted to say this. This is just a suggestion. I think one of this is more of my wife than it is me, but sometimes taking classes together. We're both into counseling, so we watched a lot of stuff that's pertaining towards counseling. So we're watching these videos together, and we're having discussions. And sometimes that's a good little rest of learning and developing and growing together. Maybe go to a community college or a college and take some courses together. That's a great way for you guys to connect, but you're also growing in the information that you're learning from. So there's many different things out there for you to let go, so that you guys can grow in your relationship.
Amen. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good question, Kalisha. Thanks for chiming in. Uh, so, you have any thoughts around just emotional decompression together? Like maybe we all get into situations in marriage where emotionally it's either draining or discouraging or hard. Um, you have any suggestions around what can we do when we're facing those types of challenges?
Well, what works in our relationship is physical touch. I know my wife, she has a very can be very stressful job, and just maybe sometimes just giving her a hug, coming in, giving her a hug, and because right now there's a lot going on, and when there's a lot going on, there's a lot of overload. There's overwhelm. You're overwhelmed a little bit. There's all these shifts, and so sometimes for her, she just, "Hey, I just need a hug. They tripping. They, this. I just need a hug. You know, and sometimes just giving those good, nice, just
Yeah.
hold. You know, sometimes that's emotionally just kind of be like, okay, I needed that, or let's go deeper. Let's just go deeper. uh Sometimes you just need to I was thinking about the song, but sometimes emotionally, you need to release. You need to release in crying and tears. Now I know you don't do that, Daniel, but sometimes you know
Oh, I do,
you know
bro.
sometimes I'm playing with you, but I know sometimes things can get overwhelming, and you know um I know there's been times where you just got to release, and it's the weight of certain things have gotten so heavy. And so again, being there with the individual, you don't have to say it too much. You just know that I'm there, there with you. I'm gonna pray with you. I'm there, and you got to you're not looking at the other person, crazy. Right now we're going through a lot of where our parents are getting older, and sometimes it's tough, knowing that I'm seeing my mother this way, or it might be a possibly pretty soon, I might not be, with some of my family members, because the time is ticking, and so we got to make plans, and so sometimes making those plans can be tough and it can be overwhelming. So being there for your spouse during those particular seasons, where I have to maybe not be seeing my parents no more, and that could be tough. That could be tough in the season, and I think that's why planning is so important. I think when I talked with my father, knowing that he was sick, I had to make a tough call. I said, "Hey, we need if anything happens with this house, I don't want to go through probate. I don't want to have to go through this type of stuff. So let's start looking at getting a will together, and let's get a trust together, so that for me it'll be a little more easier. And then get for you, you can spell some things out that you want to spell out. And so doing things like that kind of puts you in emotional regulation, and then it also helps with the marriage, knowing that, hey, if something does happen, hey, I got this covered. Getting life insurance, prepared for you if you haven't done that already. I think that should be already done. But, you know, that's being able to say emotionally, this might be tough, knowing that we might not see each other one day, but at least we're preparing for it, and having those, tough discussions about it. And sometimes you might get emotional during those seasons.
Yes. Yes. So I want to read scripture, Genesis 2, 2 through 3, and it's what we're talking about tonight. And so our model is our Heavenly Father. And it says on the seventh day, God finished his work that he had done. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work that he had done. So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all his work that he had done in creation. So we see here that in the beginning, God is after he did all the work of creating all of the heavens and the earth, um, and man and everything. He blessed it, and then on the seventh day, he called it holy and said, "Hey, I'm not doing any work on this day." And this is our model, right, for even today. And that's where we talked about in the beginning, trusting that what God said is actually the better thing to do, versus us trying to make it happen in our own uh, ability, right? Going ahead and working on that seventh day and not rest on that seventh day. So this is my encouragement, especially to the brothers, is that God will take care of your family whether you're working 5 days or 6 days, right? So uh, he is the one that created our limbs and our strength and gave us our ability and our purpose. And if he says work 6 and rest on the 7th day, then think about actually making that happen in your life. So if it's not happening in your life, and I would even say this, if you are working not 40 hours, but you're working 60 hours a day, even think about cutting back, because now you really are starting to push into, really working as much as you would for 7 days a week versus, just 40 hours for 6 days a week. So, so I think we have to look at just the idea of working too much, being a workaholic, and not trusting God for the increase and counting on ourselves for that instead. Because again, it takes away from the relationship. If you're married, right, that you're listening to a Marriage Monday live podcast, so that's what we're talking about here. It takes away from the relationship. It takes away from the strength of the relationship. It takes away from the growth of the relationship. It takes away from the intimacy of the relationship. Mm-hmm. So think about cutting back on that time and then channeling that time into your relationship, into times of rest. And again, it might be like we talked about earlier. Maybe you're just going for a walk. Maybe you're just sitting down looking at each other. Maybe you're just sitting down touching each other. Maybe you are being more intimate now and having more sex. Whatever it is, you're refocusing that time that you were throwing into work or something else, maybe a hobby, golf, whatever, right? And taking that time to rest together.
Yeah.
It's my encouragement.
That's really good. That's really good. Love what you said about work. I think that's something what the Kalishas has said. Sometimes you might have to let go some of the hours that you're putting in work, because that's what's robbing the marriage from growing. And I'm very careful how I say that, because I know people are looking to pay bills. But when you talk about trusting God, hey, now you need to trust God. You need to start listening to what God is speaking to you about and be open to that. It's worked in my life. There might be some things you just might have to cut out. You might not be able to do that, for a season, So
yeah, it's going to be worth it. I mean, there's nothing on earth. I'm gonna be very cautious in how I say this. I never done drugs, right? But I've had sex, and there is nothing on earth that I know of that or that I have felt, right, that's better than that. And so you have this ability to really lean in to somebody on the earth that loves you more than anything else. That job ain't gonna love you back. The money you're making ain't gonna love you back, right? The activities that you're doing, the NFL ain't gonna give you a dime, right? So we have the ultimate opportunity to be loved in a way that is bar none the best on earth. Mm-hmm. And if we're not there now, if we're not taking advantage of that, man, if you haven't read lately Song of Solomon, I want you to go read the Song of Solomon, and how that the love that is expressed in that book, we can have that kind of love in our marriages if we take this concept and we push on it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Resting with one another, resting in each other's bosom, resting in each other's arms, resting in each other's presence, resting in the presence of God. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm making myself happy thinking about it.
Well, amen. Well, I tell you, I really enjoyed this conversation, because I know the importance of rest, and I never definitely with certain things need to be more intentional. So while we're talking this out, made me think about some of the things I need to get back and being intentional about.
Yes, and lastly, I'll drop Kalisha's comments, and she was so kind to leave it. He definitely a cool guy. So her husband is a cool guy. Justin's a cool guy. I'm more of the emotional one, believe it or not. laugh out loud. I'm taking this topic as a reason to do some more intentional time spending. Hey, if we can reach one person, if one person can get something out of this and make a difference in their marriage, we've done our job. We're happy, and we'll be back next week to do it again.
I got the outro for you, man. I got the outro. So
awesome. I appreciate it. Then
all
so
right.
we out you, and Dennis is going to take us out.
Well, guys, thank you again for joining us with Love for Real Marriage Mondays. We hope the conversation that you got today encouraged you to keep doing the real work because it's worth it. If this episode blessed you guys, please share it with another couple who need the encouragement. And don't forget to subscribe. Hey, y'all, we're doing some great things. And so please, please, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know some of your thoughts. And join us on YouTube every Monday night for real talk about faith in marriage. Until next time, love for real is the kind of love that stays when expectation meets reality. God bless y'all.
Cool. Thank you, Dennis. Oh, one other thing. Sorry, we're not going to redo the outro, but our event is on sale now. We got an event that is here in Phoenix. Bullocks will be here. It's called Love at the Fair. So it's going to be a fun, fulfilling night, June 13th. You can go to our website now, livingwellmarriage.com. Get your ticket now. We got a special going on for Valentine's Day. First 5, 2 of them already gone, y'all. 2 of them gone. So the next 3 to get that price. And once that price is gone, it's gone. So go ahead and hit that up, livingwellmarriage.com. livingwellmarriage.com. Peace.